Minister, are you satisfied that what went into this report is all that you could be able to do, and you are happy with the outcome? That it's a reflection of what of the work that went into it.
Look, I'm quite satisfied about all the steps that we took and went through to arrive at conclusions. The most critical point, at least for me, about the report is that it traces the steps working backwards, in a sense, to then say, but if you have these four, I'll call them items under question, for an example, such as cattle kraal, the amphitheater, the swimming pool, the visitor center, and so forth, how come you have them? How come you have them there? So where do they originate and where do they come from, and so forth? Now, and precisely because in that, we are guided by the actual finding by the public protector that says there were measures implemented in the name of security, which the president, of course, through which the president derived improper benefit, and of course, by further extension, the question of non-security comforts and so forth. So it then begs the question, and this is what also the ad hoc parliamentary committee here asked for the minister to do, the question of security versus non-security sort of measures and items that were constructed there. So one has had to delve into it, run an investigative kind of analytic kind of work to then look at where do these issues actually come from. So I'm quite happy about that.
Do you believe that it puts the matter to rest?
Look, that's not for me to say, really. That's not for me. You remember that there's a huge interest sort of sector in South Africa around this issue, and various sort of, how do you call it, various sort of, conception, understanding and analysis of the issue and so forth, both at a political level, socially and otherwise, and of course in the NGO sector and so on. Now, it's really up to.
But will you sleep tonight knowing that what you did was the best that you could do? You didn't sweep anything under the carpet, and you didn't do your boss any favors?
No, I sleep perfectly okay. We demonstrated in the report and in the presentation of the report itself how we came to certain conclusions. And they've got nothing to do with favors, they've got nothing to do with patronage or any other thing and so on. They've got everything to do, what is it that was done, how it was done, and how come we have them. And that's what the report seeks to then clarify. And that's basically that. And of importance is that we also do say in that very same report is that we're not evaluating, for instance, the amounts spent, the cost allocation, or resource allocation. We're not dealing with that because that's not my mandate per se in terms of the resolution adopted by Parliament. The resolution adopted by Parliament is that it focuses largely in establishing whether the four areas that were constructed, are they security or non-security comforts, for an example.
But what do you think those who may have issues to raise with your report should do? What should they do?
Look, you remember that from a process point of view, now that I've launched the report, no, not launched, I've tabled the report and, of course, launched it here with Parliament. It is for Parliament to then decide as to how it wants to process it, because this is a Parliament's report in a sense. So Parliament is a chamber of public representatives that would have to consider, interrogate the report and debate it in whatever way that they would deem fit and so forth, and finally resolve in terms of how do they want to deal with it and so on. For me, was to unearth the facts and put the facts before everybody. And that's what I've had to do.
Well, your work has, whether by design or effectively, actually cast aspersions on some of the work of the public protector. How do you feel about that?
No, it doesn't cast aspersions, and that's the point that I've also had to clarify in this press conference earlier on, to then say my report does not necessarily stand in judgment of other reports.